Hey there guys, Mike here. Mike's DVDs and Blu-rays collection is back with another episode for you. And today guys, I want to talk to you about some new documentaries that I have checked out here lately. And they're a pretty varied bunch, I have to say. But very nice indeed. Let me show you. First up, this was it's not really a documentary, it's more of a compilation of a bunch of stuff. Many of you know probably that, I really love the Marx Brothers. Great comedy team that started out in the teens, and they were on Broadway in the 20s, and by the 30s they were working in Hollywood, making some of the greatest comedies ever made. But this kind of covers the Marx Brothers kind of later in their years. This is a lot of TV appearances, a lot of stuff like that. I think Shout Factory put this out. Not sure when they put this out. Looks like I can't find a date, but I believe it's been in the last like 10 or 12 years anyways. But it's pretty cool. It's called the Marx Brothers TV Collection. So it's kind of a compilation of like I said, TV performances, stuff like that. Like it says here over 50 television appearances, everything from the GE Theater to the Jackie Gleason Show and Perry Como Show, and a lot of shows that are forever forgotten to a certain degree. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff on here. There's more stuff than that. There's actually 3 discs, and it's got a lot of cool stuff on here. I really like this. I mean, it might not be something you'll pick up, even as a Marx Brothers fan, that you're going to pick up and watch it every month or something like that. But it's a great collection. I mean, it's an assembled collection of clips and shows and appearances and stuff like that. So, I mean, that's what it is. It's a great collection of stuff for the fans out there, So it's always there if you want to check it out, and check some of those shows out. Of course, Groucho was on You Bet Your Life throughout the 50s. Very successful game show and stuff like that. So it has a lot of that stuff on here. Whole lot of fun. Especially even if you're not exactly a huge Marx Brothers fan, and maybe you're a fan of early television, the 50s and 60s, and even the later part of the 40s. There was TV shows, and it's kind of interesting, the beginnings of TV and stuff. But this kind of goes all the way through up until their deaths and stuff to the mid-60s. And then Groucho was 77 when he passed away. But very interesting set. A lot of good stuff on there. Now, this is a set that's not exactly brand new. I pulled this out of the documentary collection of mine to rewatch. I think I covered this on my favorite documentaries or something like that. I believe this is one of them. But this is a great documentary. This is one called Easy Riders and Raging Bulls. It's how the sex and drugs and rock and roll generation saved Hollywood. Now, it's basically talking about the beginnings of the 1970s filmmaking movement with the likes of George Lucas and Martin Scorsese, Brian De Palma, John Milius, a bunch of guys. There was like this group, Steven Spielberg, and basically they're all covered in here, and it kind of covers the movement of these guys and with the studios, and it has a lot of writers comment. They cover a lot of movies, stuff like that. So, I mean, the 1970s in Hollywood was just it was a very rich time of rich creative output during that time. I mean, a lot of brilliant classics were born And the 1970s is I think one of my favorite decades of filmmaking. Just so many cool stuff, movies and directors and actors and actresses. There's just so much good shit out then, in all genres, horror, everything, you know. But I think a lot of stuff gets covered here. I mean, William Friedkin. It's got some Roman Polanski even up in there. It's got you know, Jack Nicholson, Roger Corman, Peter Fonda. Oh God, what's his name? What's his name? Gosh. It's on the tip of my tongue. God, what's his name? Jeez Louise. Maybe it's on here. I hate forgetting stuff. God, what's his name? I can't even think of his name. Good Lord. This is going to bother me until I find it. Let me see. Oh yeah, Dennis Hopper. Gosh, I was picturing his face. But anyways, they all did a lot of different stuff, you know, back then, you know, like Easy Rider. Kind of shows the beginnings in the late 60s, you know, 68, 67, all the way up to the end of the 70s when basically, you know, some movie studios basically went out of business and whatnot. But man, it's a fascinating documentary, and it's got a second whole disc of extra interviews, and it's almost enough for another documentary's worth of material and stuff on there. But it's a great documentary. I highly recommend to check this out. This was released through Shout Factory. Here's one that I've been wanting to cover. I just haven't been able to cover it in a while, but this came out a while ago, and I believe this was made for the Showtime channel. And this is called The Real Charlie Chaplin. And I was really excited to hear that they made a new documentary about Charlie Chaplin, because it's been a while since anything newer about him has come out and stuff. And this does bring newer information about Charlie Chaplin. It's not just a rehash, people, you know, pontificating over him. This is it's a really good documentary. It runs almost 2 hours. It's got a lot of interviews, like with his children, and a lot of cool stuff. A lot of people were involved in it. The BFI, the Chaplin estate, Showtime. A bunch of people was involved in it, and it's really good. I won't go into everything, but you know, if you know Charlie Chaplin, or you're a fan and you get everything about Charlie Chaplin, then this is great. I mean, it's not perfect, but I think it's more real, where they're not painting him as just a godlike figure. But it's also not a trashing of his character or anything either, for some of the stuff he did then, when compared to nowadays. You know, he would be run out of Hollywood in a millisecond, you know, for marrying, you know, young, you know, all that crazy stuff that you could get away with 100 years ago. You can't now. Let's just say that. So it's really interesting. Kind of talks about some of that, but it's also not. It tries to be accurate and stuff, but it's not a trash story or anything of him or anything. Next up, this is a really cool, I think it's a 3-part documentary. Now this came on the TCM channel, oh man, probably at least 12, 15 years ago, something like that. But this is a documentary called Moguls and Movie Stars, and it's called History of Hollywood. And right there you got Louis B. Mayer on the cover there, you know, and stuff. But yeah, it's a 3-part, 7-episode, or a 3-disc, 7-episode series. And then it's also got a lot of special features, extras on there and stuff. But yeah, it's pretty cool. It basically covers the very beginnings of movies, 1889 all the way to 1969, which was that's when Hollywood, basically the studio system was over. Studios were having a hard time competing with television at that point. And a lot of the studios were selling off their backlots and tearing down backlots and selling off property because they were in, dire need of cash and stuff. This is going into the 70s and stuff and everything. But it covers that time period. And it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I mean, you don't hear about this one as much as some other ones. But this is TCM partnered with Warner Brothers to put this out, so it's pretty cool. It might be one that you may have not heard of, but it was on the TCM channel. They ran it and stuff, and I was excited to find it on DVD and able to get it. There's another one based about Hollywood that one is called MGM When the Lion Roars. That's on DVD too, and I think it's a similar like 3-disc, 10-episode or something like that. But really good. Moguls and movie stars. Now, next up, this was the last documentary, but it's got a movie that I want to kind of pair with it. This was a really cool pickup. I got this. It's got a big sticker on here, though, but this is one of those, you find it in the markdown bin. But I had seen this on Netflix first and really enjoyed it. Anybody knows, I'm a big fan of cinematography and cinematographers and stuff like that. I really geek out on cameras and lighting and stuff like that, So this was exciting to hear about this, or when I seen it on Netflix, I was really impressed with it. But this is about a cinematographer named Haskell Wexler. You probably have seen his name on dozens of movies made in the 70s alone. I mean, he was a very, very in-demand cinematographer for many years. But this is a movie called Tell Them Who You Are. And what it is Haskell Wexler's son, Mark Wexler, wanted to make a documentary about his father and talk about all the great about all his great movies he worked on, his life, what makes him tick, a little bit behind there. And he does an excellent job. It's fascinating. He pulls no punches. He shows his dad in a bad light, to be honest and stuff. And Haskell Wexler's a very, very particular man. He was famous for taking forever to light a scene and stuff, stuff like that. He was just really, really, really picky about things and stuff. And he had a temper, and he would clash with the directors and everybody and stuff. I think he even got thrown off some movies because of his behavior and stuff. But it's all covered in this, and it's really, really good, and it's really honest. I mean, it's very honest, and I think it's about a son trying to connect with his father still. And I think they may say that in the story. He says that it was one way of connecting with his dad, to get closer to his dad by speaking his own language, the camera, making a documentary and everything about him. And so it's fascinating, father-son dynamics and stuff. That could be anybody. It could be these guys, or it could be a plumber in Philadelphia and his son who's a plumber. You know what I mean? It's trying to connect with, a parent or a son or a kid or a daughter, mom. It's really, really nice. It's a great documentary. And I wanted to kind of pair that with a movie and everything. And I saw this movie originally on Cinemax way back in 1992. And I don't even think this movie wasn't even on video, I don't think. It may have been on video, but this was the VHS and Laserdisc days, so I'm not really sure if it was on VHS. But anyways, this is a Criterion Blu-ray edition of a movie called Medium Cool. And this was directed by Haskell Wexler, and I believe it was photographed by him also. And it's kind of and this was made in 1969, and it's kind of it's documentary, but it's got acting mixed in there. So it's kind of, what was it, kind of verite cinema, you know. It's a really good blending of the two. I mean, it's not like you know, they show like real stuff happening mixed in with a storyline. A lot of it is around the 1968, I think, the Democratic Convention, the riots and different things that broke out, and you know, he's there with the camera capturing it all. Basically, and this is also a very young Robert Forster as the main guy in it. He plays a television cameraman, and so you get to see a lot of the stuff that he films, and he's walking around with the big television camera with the big porta pack on, huge stuff, and really cool. I mean, from the opening shot, it jars you immediately. I mean, it starts with a blaring ambulance siren, because I think an ambulance gets hit or something, and they actually pull off the road to film it and stuff and everything. But it's really cool. I mean, it's partially a product of the time that kind of dates little, just itty bitty parts of it, you know. But you got to keep an open mind about that part. But overall, it hasn't really aged on the other way, you know. On the other part, there's just little bits that may have dated, but for the most part, it's still hard hitting, and just excellent storytelling and everything on it. So it's really good. It's one of those movies that if you blink, you may miss it. You know, it's one of those movies they don't show very much. You may see it on the Criterion channel. It's probably streaming somewhere. But this is a really good release by Criterion. It's got a nice big booklet in there for you to read some essays. It's got a lot of extras on here. It's got a lot of extras, and it's a 4K digital release, and it was actually approved by Haskell Wexler. I believe he's still around, or he may have passed away since then. But anyways, this came out in 2013, so this is about 10 years old or so, and everything. So, but I would definitely recommend, if you check that documentary out, you're going to be itching to check out some of his movies and stuff like that. But I'm going to start with that. I mean, I don't think he directed a lot of stuff, but he directed that, and pretty cool. I mean, you had stuff like that, and then you had like Easy Rider the same year, and you're starting to see the changing of movies and stuff in Hollywood, which would open the door to the 70s, which would be all of this, you know, stuff, you know, all these new filmmakers and cinematographers and really cool stuff. So there you go, guys. So comments, please let me know what you're thinking. Just comment, ask me something, let me know what you thought about these movies, if you've seen them and stuff, and all that. Make sure you like, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. So until next time, guys, I'm Mike. You guys take it easy. Watch good movies. Check out. Tell them who you are, and medium cool. So there you go. See you guys later.